The morning sun streamed through the wide glass windows of the small, chic salon, bouncing off the polished floors and neatly arranged shelves of beauty products. The scent of shampoos, perfumes, and hairspray mingled in the air, a blend that was both soothing and stimulating. I sat on a sleek black leather chair near the waiting area, my hands nervously fidgeting in my lap. I'm Alex, 24, a marketing assistant by day, and someone who had always quietly explored a softer, more feminine side of myself. Crossdressing had never been a public affair. It was a private experiment, a way to escape the rigidity of my daily routine and explore a side of myself that I barely acknowledged. It wasn't a necessity, but rather an indulgence, a secret thrill I could indulge in when no one was watching. Yet, the thought of today made my heart race, not because I would be in heels or a dress, but because I had agreed to accompany my cousin Marissa to her new client appointment at the salon, and a small slip could change everything. Marissa was a whirlwind of energy and style, a fashion-forward woman who lived for glamour and perfection. She had insisted that I come with her this morning, claiming it would be fun and a confidence boost. I wasn't so sure. The moment she called me over last night, her excitement palpable over the phone, I felt a mix of anxiety and curiosity. I didn't know it then, but this single decision, to join her in the salon, was the first domino in a chain of events I couldn't have predicted. The salon itself was bustling, even at this early hour. Stylists buzzed around, attending to clients with practiced efficiency, scissors snipping and hairdryers humming in the background. Mirrors lined the walls, reflecting a kaleidoscope of colors and movements, making the space feel alive with energy. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves, and reminded myself, just sit, observe, don't attract attention. That was my usual mantra in situations like this. Marissa was already in her element, chatting animatedly with the receptionist, her outfit impeccable, vibrant red blouse, high-waisted skirt, heels that clicked confidently against the tile floor. She noticed me hesitating by the entrance and waved me over. Alex,
don't be shy.
You'll love it here. Her smile was contagious, but it only heightened my unease. I adjusted the collar of my shirt nervously and followed her, aware of how out of place I felt amidst the bustling elegance. I knew my own style, even when casual, leaned toward neatness and simplicity, fitted jeans, plain shirts, sneakers, but here, everything screamed sophistication and flair. I kept my head low, letting Marissa take the lead, her confidence both inspiring and intimidating. As we walked past the stations, I caught glimpses of other clients, women with perfectly coiffed hair, subtle makeup highlighting their features, and men with stylish cuts that spoke of careful attention. I felt a twinge of envy mixed with curiosity. There was a strange allure in the meticulous transformations around me, an art form I had always admired but never dared to attempt so publicly. Marissa led me to a small seating area near the back, where a stylist named Danielle greeted her with warmth. Danielle was in her late 20s, with a keen eye for detail and a calm, reassuring presence. She had a soft voice that carried authority effortlessly. Marissa, good to see you again. And you must be Alex, right? Marissa mentioned you might stop by. I nodded, my throat dry. Yes, hi, I mumbled, trying to sound casual, though every word felt fragile. Danielle smiled politely, gesturing to the chair across from hers. Feel free to make yourself comfortable. We'll start in a few minutes. I sank into the chair, my fingers tracing the smooth leather nervously. Marissa was already animatedly discussing the latest trends, leaving me to observe quietly. I couldn't help but notice the array of styling tools neatly arranged around Danielle, the brushes, scissors, hairsprays, and an assortment of colorful products. Everything seemed precise, intentional, almost ritualistic. As I waited, my mind wandered to Emma, my girlfriend. Emma was my anchor, the person who understood the duality of my personality, even if she didn't fully grasp the thrill of crossdressing. She knew I liked to experiment quietly at home, dresses, makeup, wigs, but never in public. I wondered what she would think if she knew I was here, in this salon, about to step into an unexpected transformation orchestrated by Marissa. My cheeks warmed at the thought. I was nervous, yes, but there was also a flicker of excitement, a dangerous, thrilling anticipation. Marissa leaned closer, whispering conspiratorially. I told Danielle you're open to trying something fun today. Don't worry, it's just a little experiment. Nothing permanent. Her grin was electric, eyes sparkling with mischief. I swallowed, a knot of apprehension forming in my stomach. I had no idea what experiment meant, but the way she said it left little room for refusal. Danielle approached with a friendly smile, holding a selection of styling tools. We thought it might be fun to do a little makeover today. Just for curiosity's sake, a playful exploration. Are you okay with that? I hesitated, my mind spinning. On one hand, this was exactly the kind of scenario that both terrified and intrigued me, an opportunity to explore my feminine side in a controlled environment. On the other hand, it was public, visible, and if anything went wrong, it could be humiliating. Marissa leaned against the chair, her excitement palpable. Come on, Alex. Live a little. You might discover a side of yourself you never knew. And that's when I nodded, heart hammering, committing to a decision that would irrevocably alter the course of the day and my life. I wasn't entirely sure what I was getting into, but the combination of curiosity, Marissa's insistence, and my own suppressed desire for transformation overpowered my hesitation. Little did I know, the first snip of Danielle's scissors, the first brush of makeup against my skin, would mark the beginning of a chain reaction, a series of events that would test my identity, my relationship with Emma, and my understanding of myself in ways I couldn't yet comprehend. I leaned back in the chair, closed my eyes for a brief moment, and whispered under my breath, "Let's see where this goes." And just like that, the ordinary morning in a small, bustling salon became the start of a journey I would never forget. One small mistake, one playful experiment, and everything I thought I knew about myself would begin to unravel. The first brush of foundation against my skin felt foreign, yet strangely exhilarating. Danielle's hands were confident, methodical, as she worked around my features, subtly enhancing them. My reflection in the mirror began to shift, not drastically, but enough to make my heart race. The face staring back at me was still Alex, yet softer, more delicate, almost ethereal. Marissa hovered nearby, her eyes bright with excitement. "See? You're going to love this," she murmured, though I could hear the underlying thrill in her tone. She had orchestrated this entire moment, turning a casual salon visit into a playground for experimentation. I could feel my pulse quicken as Danielle moved to the next stage. My naturally short, slightly tousled hair would soon be hidden under a wig. A silky, shoulder-length brunette that Marissa had chosen for me. My stomach fluttered as she adjusted the wig cap, tugging gently to secure it. "You're going to look incredible," Danielle said, clipping the hair into place. "It's all about confidence, really. The look is only as good as how comfortable you feel wearing it." Comfortable. That word felt like a challenge. I was far from comfortable. My body was tense, every muscle alert. But at the same time, there was a thrill I couldn't deny. This was a secret indulgence made real in public, and the awareness of it made every brush stroke, every contour of makeup, feel like a forbidden pleasure. Marissa grabbed a small basket of accessories. "Let's pick something fun," she said, holding up delicate earrings, a sparkling necklace, and a few hairpins. I hesitated, my fingers brushing the jewelry nervously. Danielle glanced at me with an encouraging smile. "Try something. You might be surprised." I allowed her to clip a small silver necklace around my neck, its delicate weight strangely grounding. The earrings went in next, tiny studs, barely noticeable, but enough to make me hyper-aware of the sensation of them brushing against my earlobes. Each adjustment, each small addition, transformed me further, and with each transformation, my internal struggle deepened. Part of me wanted to run, to escape before it became too real. But another part, a deeper, more hidden part, throbbed with excitement. I had never been this close to merging my secret self with the outside world, and the exhilaration was intoxicating. "Okay," Marissa said, holding up a dress she had brought along. A sleek, knee-length black dress, elegant yet playful. Time for the main event. I froze, my mind racing. The idea of stepping into a dress, of exposing my legs and body to public scrutiny, even here in a private salon, was terrifying. But I had already committed, and Marissa's expectant eyes left no room for hesitation. Danielle helped me into the dress, her hands gentle but firm. The fabric slipped over my shoulders and hugged my form. The mirror reflected a version of me I had only ever imagined in the privacy of my room. The effect was uncanny. Alex and this new persona existed simultaneously, a duality I wasn't sure I could reconcile. "Look at you," Marissa whispered, her voice a mixture of awe and mischief. "You're beautiful. Beautiful." The word hit me like a jolt. I wanted to protest, to insist I was still Alex underneath it all. But the reflection said otherwise. I couldn't deny the allure of what I saw, a feminine, poised version of myself that I had always wanted to explore but never dared. High heels were next. Danielle handed me a pair, sleek and black, perfectly complementing the dress. My hands shook slightly as I stepped into them. The first few steps were wobbly, a mix of vulnerability and excitement coursing through me. I felt every curve, every movement exaggerated, every glance in the mirror magnifying my consciousness of this new identity. Marissa clapped her hands softly. "Perfect. Now you just need a little confidence boost, and you'll be unstoppable." Danielle picked up a small compact and began brushing my cheeks with blush, adding soft pink to my lips. The sensation was electric. Each stroke made me hyper-aware of my features, of how different I looked, of how different I felt. My heart pounded as I realized how far I had allowed myself to go. The private thrill of crossdressing at home was nothing compared to this, the adrenaline of being seen, of risking exposure in a controlled but public space. Yet, even amidst the excitement, the internal struggle persisted. I kept thinking of Emma. She had always supported me in subtle ways, but what if she knew I was here like this? What if she didn't approve? The thought sent a shiver down my spine. Every glance in the mirror was a reminder of what could be lost, of the precarious balance between secret indulgence and public exposure. Then came the suspense, the first visitor. A client walked in, stopping at the reception desk. Their eyes briefly scanned the room before settling on me. My heart skipped a beat. I froze, unsure whether to smile or lower my gaze. The client's eyes lingered longer than necessary, and I felt the flush of embarrassment creeping up my neck. Marissa noticed and nudged me gently. "Relax. Just act natural. Act natural." I tried, but every step, every tilt of my head, felt amplified, scrutinized, judged. Danielle adjusted the wig slightly, tucking a stray strand behind my ear. "It's okay," she whispered. "You look amazing." I nodded, though my stomach twisted with anxiety. The duality of the moment was overwhelming, exhilaration and fear intertwined, each heightening the other. Every second was a test of my composure, a tightrope walk between identity and transformation. Time seemed to stretch as I moved through the salon, interacting with stylists and clients alike, each smile and compliment simultaneously flattering and terrifying. I was acutely aware of the sound of my heels clicking against the floor, the sway of the dress, the weight of the wig. Every physical sensation reinforced the emotional tension, the thrill of crossdressing amplified by the danger of being seen. And then, the pivotal moment, Marissa suggested a small photo session. "We need some shots for your portfolio," she said. "It'll be quick. Just a few poses in the dress." I hesitated. A camera? Public documentation? My chest tightened. But the excitement of the moment, the desire to embrace this new persona, pushed me forward. Danielle guided me into position, adjusting posture, tilting my head, guiding my hands. Each click of the camera was a pulse of reality, a reminder that my transformation was no longer private. It was captured, immortalized. A thrill ran through me, terrifying, intoxicating. I felt vulnerable and powerful simultaneously, caught between fear and desire. The line between Alex and this new persona blurred with every pose, every snapshot. I was learning how to inhabit this identity, yet conscious that one wrong move could expose me completely. The suspense heightened when the salon door opened again. Another visitor, this one a friend of Marissa, paused, eyes widening slightly. My heart raced. Could they recognize me? Did they suspect? I forced a calm smile, my body trembling slightly inside. Marissa whispered reassuringly, "Don't worry, just play along." I did, moving with practiced grace, though every nerve was alert, every glance a potential threat. The internal struggle, the fear of discovery, the thrill of transformation, the temptation to fully embrace this feminine side, reached a fever pitch. By the time the session ended, I was exhausted, emotionally raw, yet exhilarated. I had navigated the delicate balance between exposure and concealment, thrill and fear. The day had transformed me in ways I hadn't anticipated, leaving me both thrilled and terrified of the consequences. As we left the salon, Marissa laughing and chatting animatedly, I caught a glimpse of myself in a passing window. The reflection stared back, Alex, yet undeniably altered. The makeup, the dress, the wig, all had merged into a persona that was at once foreign and familiar. A persona I wasn't sure I could leave behind, even if I wanted to. And that's when I realized the mistake that had begun as a playful experiment had already changed everything. My secret indulgence was no longer private. The transformation wasn't just external, it had touched something deep within me, awakening desires, fears, and questions I hadn't dared to face before. Little did I know this was only the beginning. The true suspense, the real challenge, was yet to come. The first jolt of panic came as the salon door swung open unexpectedly. A familiar voice, Emma. My heart skipped a beat, my stomach twisting into knots. She wasn't supposed to be here today. The thought of her seeing me like this, heels clicking, dress hugging my body, wig perfectly in place, made my mind race. I froze, every muscle tense, eyes locked on hers as they scanned the room. Emma's gaze lingered on me for a moment too long. Recognition flickered in her eyes, followed by confusion. Alex? Her voice was hesitant, unsure, and the uncertainty sent a shiver down my spine. I could feel my pulse hammering in my temples. I had imagined this moment countless times, but now that it was happening, it was unbearable. Marissa stepped in immediately, her tone casual, masking the urgency. Hey, Emma. Just helping Alex with a little photo project. Isn't it fun? She gestured toward me, forcing a laugh that didn't quite reach her eyes. I tried to smile, to act normal, but my legs felt like lead, and my voice caught in my throat. Hey, Emma. I managed, barely above a whisper. My mind screamed at me. Turn and run, hide, explain, lie, all at once. Emma took a cautious step closer, her eyes narrowing as she scrutinized me. Alex, are you dressed like this? Her voice was calm, but carried an edge of disbelief. Every syllable was a dagger to my confidence. Yes, I admitted, my voice trembling. It's just for fun. I wanted to try. My explanation faltered. How could I make this sound normal? How could I justify the transformation without exposing the vulnerability I felt deep inside? Her expression softened slightly, but the tension didn't leave the room. Emma had always been supportive of small quirks, but this was different. This was a side of me I had kept hidden even from her. And now it was impossible to conceal. Before she could respond, the phone in Marissa's bag rang loudly, the piercing tone shattering the fragile calm. I jumped, nearly toppling over in my heels. The sound drew the attention of every client in the salon, their eyes flicking toward me with curiosity and surprise. My cheeks burned. Marissa quickly answered, her voice brisk and professional, though her eyes darted toward me. Hello? Yes, oh, that's fine. She hung up, taking a deep breath. Everything's fine. Just a little mix-up with a delivery. I exhaled shakily, but the adrenaline coursing through me didn't subside. Emma's gaze remained fixed on me, and I could see the wheels turning in her mind. Did she understand? Did she judge? Did she approve? Or was this the end of what we had? Then a sound from the back room, a stylist calling out for help. I had to move, had to act. I swayed slightly in my heels, careful not to draw more attention, and made my way toward the back. Each step felt exaggerated, every click echoing like a drumbeat in my ears. I could feel every eye following me, my internal panic building with each passing second. Marissa whispered urgently, "Just stay calm. You're doing great. Act natural. Act natural." The words felt impossible. I was balancing on a razor's edge, each movement a test of my composure, each glance from Emma threatening to shatter the carefully constructed persona I had built over the last few hours. As I reached the back, Danielle handed me a small mirror. "Check your hair and makeup quickly," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "We need you camera ready." I took a deep breath, gripping the mirror, and saw myself reflected in it, the full transformation. Alex, yet undeniably altered. Feminine, poised, vulnerable. A part of me wanted to cry, to scream, to laugh. I was overwhelmed by the duality of my existence, caught between who I had been and who I had become in these few hours. The real challenge came when Emma followed me into the back room, her eyes locked on my reflection. "You look different," she said softly. Her tone wasn't accusatory, but the weight of her observation pressed heavily against me. I just wanted to try," I admitted, my voice barely steady. It's me, but not entirely me." Emma stepped closer, reaching out a hand. "It's beautiful. But why didn't you tell me?" The question hit me harder than any judgment could. Why hadn't I told her? Fear, embarrassment, uncertainty, all intertwined. I wasn't sure. I didn't know how. I confessed. Her fingers brushed my cheek, gentle, reassuring. "Alex, you don't have to hide from me. But this is a big change." Just as relief began to creep in, the door swung open again, this time revealing Marissa's friend from earlier. Their eyes widened as they took in the scene, the dress, the heels, the wig, the blush. The tension spiked instantly. "Wow," they said, a mix of awe and shock in their voice. My heart stopped. I felt exposed, vulnerable, raw. Emma's hand tightened on mine instinctively, a protective gesture, but it didn't diminish my anxiety. The friend stepped closer, curiosity overtaking hesitation. "You look amazing. But wait, is this a—" They trailed off, unsure, and I felt every muscle in my body tense. I could feel the sweat on my palms, the heat rising in my face. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, to hide, to erase this persona instantly. But the thrill, the adrenaline, the exhilaration of finally living this hidden side of myself was too strong. I stood my ground, trembling but resolute. Danielle intervened smoothly, diverting the conversation, but the damage was done. My dual identity had been glimpsed, even if only partially, and the suspense hung thick in the air. Emma's eyes never left me, a mixture of concern, admiration, and uncertainty reflecting back. In that moment, I realized the true extent of the risk I had taken. My secret wasn't just revealed, it was tested. Each glance, each comment, each acknowledgement of my transformed self was a reminder that the line between thrill and disaster was razor-thin. And then, the final twist, the camera clicked unexpectedly, capturing me in a vulnerable, exposed moment. The shutter sound echoed like a warning. Emma gasped softly. Marissa's eyes widened in surprise. The friend froze, eyes darting between us. I felt every heartbeat, every emotion amplified. The symbolic moment hit me. I had stepped fully into this identity, yet the world had already started to record it. There was no going back. The mirror had reflected my two selves earlier, but now the camera had immortalized the duality. Every step forward from this moment carried consequences I couldn't yet predict. I tried to smile, to mask the fear and excitement, but the internal tension was unbearable. My secret was partially exposed, my identity tested, and the emotional stakes higher than ever. Every instinct screamed for retreat, yet a deeper, more compelling desire urged me forward. Emma's voice broke the silence. Alex, I don't fully understand yet, but I'm here. I want to understand. Her words were both a relief and a new source of suspense. Could our relationship survive this revelation? Would acceptance last? Or was this just the beginning of a much more complicated journey? As I stood there, heels firmly planted, wig slightly askew from nervous adjustment, dress clinging to me, and makeup highlighting both vulnerability and allure, I realized the true suspense of the night wasn't the transformation itself, it was what came after. The decisions I made in the next moments, the choices about identity, honesty, and courage, would define not just the night, but the path forward in my dual life. The room seemed to hold its breath with me. Every second stretched, every glance intensified. And in that suspended moment, I understood that my life had irrevocably changed. The thrill, the fear, the vulnerability, the revelation, they were all intertwined, and there was no turning back. The camera's click still echoed in my ears, a sharp reminder that my secret had been partially unveiled. Emma stood beside me, her hand lingering on mine, offering comfort, yet the uncertainty in her eyes mirrored the storm raging inside me. My heart raced, and every instinct screamed at me that nothing would ever be the same again. Marissa, ever the professional, tried to maintain a casual tone. "Okay, let's get ready for the final shots," she said, but I could hear the underlying tension in her voice. She knew the stakes had just skyrocketed. I adjusted my dress, smoothing out the wrinkles, and trying to act normal. My legs trembled slightly in the high heels, each step reminding me of the vulnerability I had exposed. The reflection in the mirror showed me fully transformed, feminine, poised, undeniably captivating. Yet beneath that confidence was a whirlwind of fear and doubt. Could Emma truly accept this side of me? Could I ever feel safe exploring it again? Emma's eyes met mine in the mirror, and I saw a mixture of awe and hesitation. "You look amazing," she whispered. Her words were reassuring, but her body language betrayed her uncertainty. She wasn't angry, but she wasn't fully comfortable either. I realized the true suspense wasn't just my transformation. It was the delicate balance of trust and understanding in our relationship. Just as I began to breathe a sigh of relief, the salon door opened once more. This time, it wasn't a friend or a client. It was someone unexpected. My stomach dropped. The figure in the doorway paused, eyes widening as they took in the scene. Me, in full transformation, Emma at my side, and Marissa trying to mask her surprise. The visitor stepped closer, and my heart sank. Recognition flickered in their eyes, followed by something I couldn't quite place. Curiosity, disbelief, maybe judgment. My mind raced. Had they seen too much? Would this person expose me? Emma's grip on my hand tightened. Who is this?" she asked, her voice a mixture of caution and concern. The figure didn't answer immediately. They simply stared, their expression unreadable, as if calculating their next move. Every second stretched painfully, the suspense nearly unbearable. I could feel the weight of their gaze pressing down on me, each heartbeat echoing in my ears. Finally, the visitor spoke, their tone calm but loaded with implication. "I didn't know Alex could look like this." The words were simple, but they carried a weight that made my knees feel weak. It wasn't judgmental, but it wasn't neutral either. There was something in their voice that hinted at consequences I couldn't yet predict. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my trembling lips. I didn't mean for anyone to see," I admitted, my voice barely audible over the pounding of my heart. Emma's eyes searched mine, and I could see her inner struggle. Support, curiosity, fear, love. It was all there, mingling together in a complex web that left me breathless. She leaned slightly closer, her voice softer now. "Alex, we'll figure this out. But what happens next?" Before I could respond, the visitor's gaze shifted to the camera, then back to me. "This needs to be addressed," they said slowly. "I think everyone here should understand what this really means." A cold shiver ran down my spine. The thrill, the excitement, the vulnerability, it all collided in that moment. My secret wasn't just partially exposed anymore. It was on the brink of full revelation. Every possibility raced through my mind: embarrassment, judgment, curiosity, acceptance. The uncertainty was suffocating. I glanced at Marissa, who gave a subtle nod, her eyes urging me to remain calm. But the tension in her posture mirrored my own panic. The camera, the witness, Emma's mixed emotions. It was a perfect storm of suspense. And then, just as my thoughts spiraled, the visitor took a single step forward, their shadows stretching across the room, and said 3 words that made my blood run cold. "This isn't over." The words hung in the air like a challenge, a warning, a promise. My breath caught, my palms sweated, and I realized that the night's events were only the beginning. The transformation, the secret, the thrill, the fear, it all had consequences I couldn't yet see. Emma squeezed my hand, her warmth a fragile comfort against a storm of uncertainty. "Alex, whatever happens, we'll face it," she whispered, but even as she said it, I knew the road ahead would be anything but easy. I took a deep breath, adjusting my wig and smoothing my dress, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. The reflection in the mirror showed me poised, feminine, confident, but inside, I was trembling, caught between exhilaration and dread. The salon seemed to hold its breath with me, the suspense stretching into eternity. Outside, the city lights flickered, indifferent to the turmoil inside. I realized that the true suspense wasn't just about being caught in this moment. It was about navigating the life I had just stepped into, where every choice could expose me, every glance could judge me, and every secret could unravel. And then, the visitor's phone buzzed, the sound slicing through the tension. Their eyes darted to it, then back to me. A message, a notification, a decision. It didn't matter which. The implication was clear. The next move wasn't mine alone. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the night pressing down. The camera, the witnesses, Emma, Marissa, the visitor, all of them intertwined in a web of suspense, uncertainty, and possibility. I had taken a step into a new identity, but now the real challenge was just beginning. As I stood there, heels clicking lightly against the salon floor, wig slightly askew, dress perfectly fitted, and makeup highlighting every curve and contour, I realized that my life had irrevocably changed. The thrill of transformation was only part of the story. The rest was the uncertainty, the tension, and the choices yet to come. And with that realization, the room seemed to fade slightly, leaving only me, my reflection, and the words that echoed in my mind. "This isn't over."